Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholars, teachers, trainers, professors, professionals, the most honorable, the most honorable President Prime Minister Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable doctors, directors, those who are listening, I heartily, cordially welcome. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section that we are appreciating our holy Indian culture. What our starters, beginners, creators, generators, operators have explained. Let us pay attention towards their devotion and dedication for this holy Indian motherland. In different languages, past colorfully, wherever our great men sent born the message for the oneness, equality, and unity. What is written, what is given in our Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Let us go through Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 1. The present chapter is the introduction to the great teachings delivered to the entire world by God Himself in the form of the Gita, making Arjuna the immediate cause for its delivery. After a recital of the principal warriors on both sides, it mainly describes Arjuna's rejection caused by faint heartedness from the fear of loss of friends and relatives in the course of the impending clash of arms. And such a feeling of rejection helps one's spiritual advancement by reducing aversion to worldly enjoyments. If one comes in touch with an advanced soul, that is why the chapter has been given the title of The Yoga of Rejection of Arjuna. In the first verse of this chapter, Dhritarashtra inquires of Sanjaya about the details of the war. Thereupon, Sanjaya describes in the second verse how, approaching Dronacharya, Duryodhana starts conversation. In the third version, Duryodhana invites Dronacharya to observe the mighty army of the Pandavas and devotes verses 4 to 6 to a recital of the name of the prominent warriors on the Pandava side. In the seventh, asking Dronacharya to know pointedly the main warriors and generals of his own army. He gives in verses 8 and 9 the names of some of them and describes their heroism and skill in warfare. In the 10th verse, declaring his own army as unconquerable and that of the Pandavas as comparatively weaker. In the 11th, he requests all his warriors to guard Bhishma on all sides. The 12th verse speaks of Bhishma blowing his conch, and the 13th describes the noise produced by the sudden blaring forth of conches, cattle drums and trumpets, etc. in the Kaurava army. 14th to 18th verses speak of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, Arjuna, Bhima, Yudhishthira, Nakula, Sahadeva, and all other distinguished warriors of the Pandava army blowing their respective conches, and verse 19 tells us of the terrible sound echoing through heaven and earth and reading the heart of Duryodhana and his followers. Seeing the sons of Dhritarashtra arrayed for battle, Arjuna requests Shri Krishna in verse 20 and 21 to place the chariot between the two armies, and in verse 22 and 23 he says that the chariot should be kept there till he has carefully observed and scanned the warriors assembled for the war. Verses 24 and 25 describe how placing the chariot between the two armies, as desired by Arjuna, Shri Krishna invites the later to behold the warriors assembled for the war. Then, up to verse 30, there is a description, first by Sanjay and then by Arjuna himself, of the latter's perplexity and grief at the sight of his relations in the battle added. In verse 31, Arjuna points out the evil consequences of war, and verses 32 and 33 are devoted to his reasons for not coveting either victory or the pleasures attending sovereignty. In verses 34 and 35, Arjuna mentioned his close relationship with the warriors, they being his teachers, uncles, etc., and declares that he did not want to kill them, though he might be killed by them or even for the sovereignty of the three worlds. Saying so, he proceeds in verses 36 and 37 to say that even though Duryodhana and his brothers were desperate, their killing would result only in in sin, and happiness could never be expected from it. In verses 38 and 39, he points out why the Pandavas should desist from the sin of destruction of their own race and enmity towards friends and devotees. Verses 40 to 44, a detailed enumeration of the evils resulting from the destruction of a family and its traditions. In verses 45 and 46, Arjuna says that the preparation for war with a view to killing his own relations due to lust for throne and enjoyment was nothing but preparation for the commission of the great sin and expressing regret for it. He declared that it was better that the son of Dhritarashtra should kill him. The chapter is concluded with verse 47, wherein Sanjay describes how, having determined not to fight and agitated by grief, Arjuna laid down his arms and sank into his chariot. The pomp and wealth of the Pandavas displayed during the performance of the Rajsuya sacrifice aroused deep jealousy in the mind of the Duryodhana, who in collusion with Shakuni etc. invited Yudhishthira to a game of dice in which Yudhishthira was fraudulently defeated and deprived of all his wealth and possessions. Finally, it was settled that Yudhishthira and the other Pandavas, together with Draupadi, should repair to the forest and live there in exile for 12 years. After this, for 1 year, they were to remain incognito, untraced by the Kauravas. All these 13 years, the kingdom was to be ruled by the Duryodhana, and if the Pandavas remained undetected during the stipulated period of 1 year's incognito existence, the kingdom was to be returned to them after the conclusion of 13 years. Having successfully concluded their exile of 13 years, according to these terms, when the Pandavas at last asked for the return of their kingdom, Duryodhana gave a flat refusal. The learned and theist family priest of Draupadi, the learned and theist family priest of Drupada was sent to the Duryodhana's court to negotiate in favor of the Pandavas. But Duryodhana remained adamant. Thereafter, both the sides began to prepare themselves for war. Duryodhana went to Dwarka to invite Bhagwan Shri Krishna to join him as an ally. Arjuna also reached there the very same day. They both found Shri Krishna resting on a conch in his palace. Observing that Shri Krishna was asleep, Duryodhana went in and occupied a nice and comfortable seat placed at the head of the conch, while Arjuna remained standing near the feet of Shri Krishna, joining both his palms in a posture of humility. The moment Shri Krishna opened his eyes, he saw Arjuna standing before him, and then when he turned his head, he could observe Duryodhana seated on the chair at the head of the couch. Bhagwan Shri Krishna welcomed both of them and asked for the reasons of their visit. In reply, Duryodhana said, "Your love and affection for me as well as Arjuna are quite balanced. Both of us are your relations, but I was the first to approach you. The code of honor among honorable men demands that help should be rendered to the first seeker of help. You are the greatest and most honorable person in the world today. Therefore, you should render help to me alone. The Lord said, I agree that you were the first to come here, but my eyes fell on Arjuna first. Therefore, I shall help both of you. According to the law of this scripture, the privilege of first choice should be given to the younger in age. Therefore, Arjuna's desire should be satisfied first. My help will be available in this world in two ways. One side will have my most powerful Narayani Sena, and on the others I shall remain myself single-handed bound by the vow of not participating in battle and not taking up arms. Now Arjuna, as righteousness dictates, I give you the first chance to express your choice. Please take from out of those who whatever you prefer. Arjuna thereupon those Bhagwan Shri Krishna, the slayer of voice and a manifestation of Narayana himself as his helper, Duryodhana for his part, took the powerful Narayani Sena as its chair and returned to Hastinapura, very much delighted at heart. Then Bhagwan Shri Krishna asked Arjuna why, when he when Shri Krishna would not participate in battle as a warrior, Arjuna gave up preference for the Narayani Sena and took him Shri Krishna on his side. Arjuna replied, Lord, you are capable of destroying all those forces single handed. Why should I, in that case, care for the army? Besides, I have for a long time cherished the desire in my heart that you should act as my charioteer. Kindly fulfill that desire for mine during this great war. The Lord, who is ever the most devoted lover of his devotees, accepted with pleasure this role of driving the horses of Arjuna's chariot. As desired by Arjuna, that is how Bhagavan Shri Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna, and at the commencement of the battle of Kurukshetra, delivered to Arjuna the divine teachings as incorporated in the Gita. On the return of Duryodhana and Arjuna from the Dwarka, on the return of Duryodhana and Arjuna from Dwarka, when the armies on both sides had assembled, Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself went to Hastinapur as the emissary of the Pandavas and tried to prevail upon Duryodhana to prevent the war. But Duryodhana declared in clear and explicit terms, so long as I am alive, the Pandavas can never expect to have the kingdom. I am not prepared to give them even as much land as can be covered by the point of needle. Mahabharata Udyoga Parva chapter 127 verses 22 to 25. It is only then that according to the advice of their mother Kunti and under the inspiration of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, the Pandavas firmly decided to resort to war, considering their cause to be righteous and established by force of arms their rightful claim to the kingdom. When both the sides had thoroughly prepared to start the battle, the Shaga with Vyasa approached Dhritarashtra and said, if you if you want to see the terrible carnage with your own eyes, I can make you a gift of transient vision. But Dhritarashtra replied, O chief of Brahmarshis, I have no desire to see with my own eyes this slaughter of my own family, but I should like to hear all the details of the battle. There, upon the great Shaga Vidyasa conferred the gift of divine vision on Sannyasa, Dhritarashtra's trusty counselor, and said to Dhritarashtra, Sanjay will describe to you all the incidents of the war. Whatever happened in the course of this war, he will directly see, hear, and otherwise come to know whether an incident takes place before his eyes or behind his back, during the daytime or at night, privately or in public, and whether it is reduced to actual action or appears only as a thought. It will not remain hidden from his view. You will come to know everything exactly as it happens. No weapon will touch his body, nor will he feel the least agitation. What is the taking place is inevitable. There is no power on earth capable of arresting the course of this catastrophe. It will end in the triumph of righteousness and virtue. On Maharishi Ved Vyasa's departure from the royal court, Sanyasha, Sanyasha in answer to Dhritarashtra's query described to him the location of the different dvipas or divisions of the terrestrial world, in the course of which he gave a geographical description of Bharat, Varsha or India as well. In the meanwhile, the struggle between the Kauravas and Pandavas started and continued for 10 days. When the great Bhishma was thrown down from his chariot and lay on his bed of Hades, on bed of his alloys. At this point, Sanjay again goes to Dhritarashtra and suddenly announces to him the fall of Bhishma in battle, Bhishma Parva, chapter 13. Terribly moved at the sad news, Dhritarashtra requested Sanjay to describe to him all the incidents of the conflict. Thereupon, Sanjay gave a detailed description of the formation of the two rival armies. Then Dhritarashtra again asked Sanjay to recite to him in greater detail all the incidents that had taken place from the beginning of the battle till then. Here commences the first chapter of the Gita. It constitutes the 25th chapter of Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata. It starts with Dhritarashtra questioning Sanjay in the following terms. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्म क्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे संवितायुयुत्स्व मामकाः पाण्डवांश्च शैवच किं कुर्वत संजय Dhritarashtra, the blind king of Hastinapura, Uvach said, Kurukshetre, Dharm Kurukshetre, On the sacred soil of Kurukshetra, Samvita gathered the youths eager to fight. Mamka, my own sons, Pandava, the sons of Pandu, Cho, and I indeed came what Akurat did. Sanjay, oh Sanjay. Dhritarashtra said Sanjay gathered on the holy land of Kurukshetra, eager to fight. What did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? Thank you. Up to this time, we have heard holy words of our holy saints, those who came in India for addressing the message of oneness, equality, unity, and our forefathers, foretellers, forecasters adopted their path for making us understand the originalities, realities, truities of our life that was addressed by different innovators, inventors, creators, generators, operators, those who came time to time on this Indian land. Let us go through their research. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Oh dear Lord, you are mine. Oh dear Lord, you are mine. Only you are my mother and my father. Only you are my kin and companion. Only you are my knowledge and riches. Oh dear Lord, it is you all in all. Oh dear Lord, you are mine. There are innumerable ways to attain God realization. Among all those paths, I have found a unique path, which is uncommon. It is I belong to God. You may perceive this as ordinary, but in my opinion, it is extremely unique. Each one of us is God's child. It is not a usual fact. This renders God realization exceedingly easy. One question was put by a disciple in front of Swamiji. Earlier, you instructed us regarding seeking refuge in God and chanting His name. Then you asked us to regularly repeat, "Oh, my dear Lord, I must never forget you." And now you are telling us to accept our belongingness to God. Which of these sadhanas should we follow? Then Swamiji replies, answers, follow which I am instructing now. All sadhanas are all sadhanas are excellent, but accepting that God is mine, this makes us close to God. The closer we are to God, the better the worship becomes. Further, one more question was asked by a disciple from Swamiji. Carrying out all deeds diligently or disregarding our belongingness with the material world, or accepting our belongingness to God, which among us the Sri Sadhana is most appropriate to break away from our attachment and aversion and attain liberation. Then Swamiji replies, accepting our belongingness to God is the foremost sadhana, because our acceptance of the belongingness to God by the virtue of God's grace, attachment and aversion are also resolved. Equivalency also comes, serenity is also attained, and liberation is also fulfilled. Because in our essence we are fragments of God. Mame vansho jeev loke. By correcting this essence, everything else gets corrected. If you wish to effortlessly experience God, it is my request that you must accept I belong to God. This practice is much more powerful than Chup Sadhana. For instance, a daughter in your family once married accepts that I belong to my husband's palace. I belong to my husband's place. Similarly, you must accept that I belong to God. This is an extremely effortless and preeminent sadhana. God has himself specified this as the ultimate untold secret. Sarva Atma. In the entire instruction of the Gita, the term Sarva Guhatma has been used only once. I am clearly stating this with folded hands that, in my opinion, this is the foremost sadhana. I feel so in my heart that if we accept that God belongs to us, then our task will be quickly done. God is mine. If this is accepted, then a whole lot of our work is done. We have already come quite close to God. All that you wish to depart from would be achieved by God's grace, God's strength only. In Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, both sadhana, path, and sadhya, destination, are distinguishable. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, God Himself is the sadhana as well as the sadhya. That's why the path of Bhakti Yoga is comparatively brisker to tread. Everybody is not aware of this fact. That's why I keep on emphasizing that you must accept your belongingness to God. God is our Father. Each one of us is His beloved son and daughter. Accept this and consider most of your work completed. It is better than God's continual remembrance to accept our relationship with God, that I belong to God. Our relationship is ever existing. Once the relation is embraced, then God's remembrance occurs inherently and doesn't have to be practiced. It happens without any effort. I have a mother. In this manner, we have accepted our mother. So now we are not required to remember this. Like a rich man is always proud from within that I have so much money. Similarly, you should also at all times feel proud from within that I belong to God. However you are, you must never disregard the fact that I belong to my Lord. Be it happiness or sorrow, health or sickness, profit or loss, but I belong to God. God belongs to me. Your mind must never dwindle from this practice or principle. There is no equivalent path, no ability, no strength nor privilege than acceptance of our belongingness to God. In the acceptance of God's belongingness, the mind, the intellect are etc. are not required. Whereas in other sadhanas, the assistance of the mind, the intellect, etc., are required. Even with the persisting absence of certain traits in a seeker, God chooses to concentrate only on the belongingness and not the absence traits. Because our belongingness to God is absolute. He who accepts his relation with God rises above the ordinary. He becomes a Saint Mahatma. He attains serenity and eternal joy. He becomes carefree of everything else. So accept that God belongs to you and relax. I belong to God. Never forget this, and you will certainly experience God. You will be naturally introduced to Satsang and Sant Mahatmas. The most exceptional thing is an eternal relationship with God. By the virtue of the acceptance of the relationship, there is rapid augmentation, chanting of God's name, meditation, kirtan, etc. are not perpetual, and there is always some interference. Whereas there is no transference in the relation with God, for example, by sleeping, the marital relationship doesn't vanish. Similarly, in forgetfulness or sleep, our relationship with God doesn't vanish. It is perpetual and ever existing. There is exhaustion in performing chanting, etc. But our relationship is never tiring. This relationship is immediate and eternal, like marriage breaks only if you break it. If you accept that God belongs to me, then not even God can break this. The jiva or the embodied soul is a fragment of God. Therefore, if the connect, if the if he connects with God by any means, it certainly liberated. A relationship with God invariably leads to supreme welfare. Those who took God by enmity, like Kancha and Shishupala were liberated, and those who loved God utterly were also liberated. But those who failed to establish any relation with God, failed to establish any relation, were not liberated. If someone expresses that God is mine, it extremely pleases the Lord. In reality, except for God, there is no one whom we can call ours. Due to ignorance of God, but God never forgets you. But God never forgets you. One more question was put by our disciple. After acceptance of God's relation, can God be realized even on persistence of worldly desires? Then Swamiji says, yes, God can be realized even on persistence of worldly desires, and the desires will not persist once God is realized. The principal mistake has been the erroneous embracing of what is not ours, that is, our body, senses, mind, intellect, and who belong to us. We did not embrace their gods. This single blunder encompasses every other mistake. In mathematics, on omission of even a single step or a digit, everything becomes incorrect and no mark is awarded. That's why you must at least accept I belong to God and God is mine, to eternally reveal the Lord and to acquire His perpetual love. It is a must to embrace the fact that God is mine. Like a child declares that the mother is mine, similarly, God is mine. The sentiment of belongingness towards God is the mantra for eternal love. It reveals the presence of God. You must invoke this feeling from within that why is my mother not taking me in her lap? You must firmly believe God belongs to you. This will have an immense outcome and your existence will grow victorious. My heart will be extremely delighted if you do so, and you will also be happy. You will be blissful. This acceptance is pure profit with no loss of any kind. This wisdom is not ordinary, it is the conclusive essence of the Vedas, Gita, and Ramayana. Even if you do not believe, the truth will remain absolute. It can never be a lie. You just have to embrace it from your end. Then, even if avoid persists, it will be up to God to seal it. But you must never disregard this. Once accepted, keep on repeating, I belong to God. This will naturally make you pristine and pure. Is God feebler than the philosopher's stone, which transforms metal into pure gold? The purity which is attained by acknowledging the relationship with God can never be attained by our endeavors. The benefits, the benefit which is not obtained even after years and years of satsang will be achieved in a single day by accepting our belongingness to God. The stronger one associates with people and material objects, the lesser one feels about his belongingness towards God. When it is properly understood and acknowledged that in the entirety of the limitless cosmos there isn't even a speck of an object which belongs to us, even the body, senses, mind, intellect, etc. Ego does not belong to us nor exist for us, then only can be the actual quintessence experienced and understood actions by any of the three bodies, introspection and trance, even they are not ours nor of any use to us. Only after the departure from our assumed relation with actions, introspection and trance, what is achieved that quintessence only is ours and for us. We are fragments of God only till the time a human being has assumed that the body and the world are his and exist for him. Till then he will listen, learn, orate and lecture, but will not adequately understand the quintessence. The advancement of a seeker will not be substantial until the relationship with God is acknowledged. Whereas the progress would be effortlessly humongous if it is acknowledged. I belong to God. Accept this from within, and your spiritual standing will transform. Furthermore, there will be a comprehensive change in you. You will attain peace, doubts will be clear, and confusions will dissolve. Oh, dear Lord, I belong to you. Accept this much from within, and all your worldly affinities will loosen by themselves. You will not have to struggle to loosen those earthly ties. Recently, the thought has been ruminating with me a lot to embrace our eternal relationship with God. It has been particularly coming to my mind that you must anyhow accept your relationship with God. You may accept God as your son, your father, your mother, your brother, your friend, your guru or teacher, your disciple, your master, your servant, or whoever you expect him to be. Just accept this much and it will be tremendously beneficial. You may or may not accept, that is your wish, but I will keep on reiterating that. I will keep on reiterating that is my duty and I will adhere to it. Even if you wish not to accept this, I will not be upset with you, but certainly my heart will not be content. Any sadhana or spiritual practice can never be continuous, but a relation is ever existing. A seeker can pursue any form of sadhana, but must agree on his exclusive relationship with God. Until the time relation with another exists, till then the sadhana is not absolute. What you believe to be the path towards God realization is not the actual path towards God realization. True sadhana happens only when you accept your relationship with God. For instance, when a married woman visits her mother's place even while performing all obligation, she never disregards the fact that she is married. Similarly, if you wish to attain God realization, then even while residing in this material world, you must agree from within on your relationship with God. Do not agree to associate even with a sant or a guru, but do respect their teachings. Once you accept that you belong to God, then all your actions will be sadhana for God realization only. I belong to God, God belongs to me, this is the true sadhana. God belongs to us, we belong to God. If the Lord's relation is embraced in this way, then you will not have to purposely try and remember God, but instead you will innately remember Him in our worldly routine. In our worldly routine, we have observed that a person is respected based on their material wealth, but in God's routine, one is respected if they are related to God. Just by accepting your relationship with God, all your losses, all worries, all grief, and all clutter will resolve, will become absolute. It is shared that the realization of God is extremely effortless. And it is also told that the realization of God is extremely difficult. If one goes by set norms and regulations, then the realization of God is extremely difficult. But if the heart has agreed, if the heart has a genuine passion for God, then it becomes extremely effortless. Like a child asserts that the mother is mine. Similarly, God is ours. The heart should have such simple passion. It is exceptionally exceptionally difficult to attain God realization if the heart lacks passion. God receives passion. If a child asserts that the mother is mine, what regulation will be applied to this? The child never deems if he is qualified or suitable by the virtue of his affection. He fondly and completely dominates his mother. Similarly, God is mine. Simply accept this. If the child cries, the mother has to attend to her child, irrespective of what she is doing. Therefore, simply and honestly, his mother is mine. Lord, oh my dear Lord, God is this one truth surpasses everything. Without asserting any rules and regulation, one should particularly develop this single trait. What is mine? The passion for belongingness should be exceptional and foremost. Disregard every other fact. Don't focus even on your shortcomings. Rather gaze only towards the Lord's gracious personality. There can't be anyone except God who can be ours, nor can ever stay with us. For instance, when a mother watches her child play, her heart becomes full of joy, full of love. Similarly, God's heart is full of love for each one of the souls. He wants to accept them, meet them, and converse with them. But this soul doesn't even glance at God. So it is my request to all of you that however you are, at least remember this thought that God is mine. मेरे तो गिरधर गोपाल दूसरों ना होए. If you accept this, you will never be unhappy again. There is no particular loss in accepting this, but pure profit. Body, senses, soul, mind, intellect, etc. Nothing belongs to us. Nothing belongs to me. Only God is mine. If you accept this, you will be greatly benefited. Nothing else will bind you. Even in times of sickness, you will not be distressed but would experience eternal joy. The body might feel lethargic, but there will be eternal bliss within if you dwell 4 to 5 degrees of fever. You stop talking or you collapse. Even then, there will be no difference in the eternal joy within. There is an absolute truth. Since, since all of you have come for satsang, just accept that regardless of however we are, we belong to God simply because of not accepting our belongingness to God. You will have to suffer. There is no doubt about this. At each and every place, you will take birth, die, and suffer. Once God is accepted, then be joyful. There is no need to do anything else. If you embrace God, then God is happy, and sons are also happy. Everyone contents. No one can be upset because we are not grabbing somebody else's part, but taking what is rightfully ours. There is no sweat in accepting God. No fee, no learning, no reading, no memorization and qualification. There is there is nothing in this material world that belongs to us. Understand this and God belongs to us. Accept this. Nothing belongs to us in this material world. You can doubt this plenty. Everything will be accepted, but God belongs to us. No doubt in this will be accepted. This has to be embraced initially. The material world has the material world is comprehended and God is accepted afterwards. Afterwards, God doesn't remain merely accepted but becomes tangible. God constantly gazes at you like a mother gets delighted when her child calls Ma, Ma. Similarly, when you call out that God belongs to you, God gets utterly delighted. You are a fragment of God. You are a fragment of the Lord. You must remember, you must remember this at all times. I keep on reiterating this because I have developed a particular regard for it only in recent years. I was not aware of its importance initially, but for example, a daughter of your house after marriage belongs to the house where she got married. Similarly, you must also embrace your belonging to God's house. God's house. Accept that you are not a bachelor anymore. We are not without a master, unlike a wild beast. We belong to God. Indeed, you all. Indeed, you belong. Indeed, you all belong to God forever. You may or may not know, you may or may not accept, simply transform your sentiment. If you wish to experience God, then you must not regard yourself as a woman or a man. Affirm your relationship with God that I belong to God. If you were if you embrace your belongingness to God, then it is a tremendous achievement. If you affirm yourself as a woman or a man, then how will you achieve God realization? If you affirm yourself as a woman, then you will not only achieve a man but not God. Then you will only achieve a man but not God. Affirmation of one's womanhood or manhood is also a hindrance in God realization. The distinction between a woman and a man is necessary for godly cosmos and behavior. If you have embraced yourself as the physical body, then how will you experience God? Your inner sentiment your inner sentiment only must transform that I belong to God, God belongs to us. Thank you, all my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholar, teacher, trainer, professor, professional, listener, learner, those who are watching, listening, adorable doctors, directors, respected managers, masters, ministers, the most honorable President President Modi, I heartily, cordially welcome all of you. Thank you, thank you, thanks.